Hello and welcome to a Team Moray Robotics event recap. On May 24th, I competed at RABID with my ant-weight combat robot, Kickserve. This is the plastic ant version of Kickserve because the full combat version isn't currently together right now. This is the first time I myself have competed with a robot other than Moray, but Kickserve has competed once before in Motorama earlier this year. I designed Kickserve's chassis for my dad, and he told me what kinds of attachments he wanted so I can make them in CAD and print them out. He drove the robot at Motorama and it went 0-2, but it wasn't knocked out in either of its fights, including one against Nate Franklin's The Darkest Timeline. For RABID, I would be running Kickserve, and this time it had a few improvements, mainly a more durable drive system and the option to use carbon fiber forks or TPU anti-horizontal side attachments. I was really hoping to get Kickserve its first win at this event because it was really durable at Motorama even with a worse drive setup. I was also excited to drive a control robot for the first time in competition, especially since Moray had been experiencing a lot of drive problems at this event. My first opponent was Impulse, so I immediately packed everything back up and went home. I thought I had a very slim chance of beating or even surviving Impulse because it's one of the best ant weights I've seen. It's driven by Lars Elliott, who's one of the best robot drivers around, and Impulse has already beaten Moray very quickly in the past. Kickserve would use the TPU side armor, but I knew it wasn't set up particularly well to fight a horizontal spinner, especially an undercutter. And I guess I didn't mention this yet, but Kickserve is a lifter robot. I missed the box rush, which might be my only chance of winning, and then Lars rips a whole side off on the first hit. Impulse boxes me into a corner and then pops the right wheel off and gives me flashbacks to the last time I fought him. I take some more hits, and at this point I think it's already just a matter of time before he knocks me out. Another big hit flips Kickserve over. More hits tear at the lifter and the remaining wheel, and I'm surprised I could still move. Then another hit flips Kickserve back over. Impulse continues to cut through the TPU chassis and armor, but doesn't hit anything important. More hits send me flying into the arena walls. Then a hit in the corner rips the whole servo out of the robot, and it's held on only by the wires. He tears the whole lifter off the ejected servo, but shockingly, Kickserve still works. With the servo outside of the robot, I didn't want it to get hit and be down a whole servo, so I chose to stop driving. You could see the remaining wheels still fully capable of spinning and keeping the fight going, but I didn't want to lose my servo. I know I could tap out, but I'd rather technically give my opponent a knockout because he surely would have killed me if the fight were to go on longer. It might not seem like it with how quickly I recapped the fight, but I lasted a surprising amount of time against Impulse, and I wasn't even fully dead. I found out after the fight that he did actually hit and break the servo, and if I knew this, I absolutely would have kept going until I physically couldn't anymore. But ending the fight here was definitely fortunate because Impulse sliced open an entire half of the chassis, and if he hit the other side a few more times, the battery probably would have gone up in flames, and I might have lost the entire robot. This is an absolutely absurd amount of damage that was done. How was I going to fix it? Tape. The right side of the chassis was torn open in multiple places that only an undercutter could really hit. Even the top plate was damaged. The wheel that was still attached had the tread ripped almost all the way off, and the left side of the robot was sliced into as well. The servo had an Impulse blade-sized hole in it, and the metal gear was even bent. Somehow I fixed the robot fairly easily by literally just taping it back together. Kickserve was forcefully kicked into the loser's bracket and got a bye, so no matter what happened, it technically wouldn't be the lowest finishing robot at the event, and this also happened at Motorama too, so it's a tradition now. I would have to fight Doomslug, which is probably my favorite robot at the event. It's an overhead saw robot with a crazy fork setup, which would make it really hard to gain control over. Overhead saws are my favorite weapon type, so I was actually excited to fight Doomslug, because even if I lost, I would get to watch Kickserve get sawed to pieces. I would use the carbon fiber forks for this one. My strategy was to add a lot of extra top armor since I still had a lot of weight to work with. I would do this by taping random crap to the top of the robot. I used double-sided tape to tape two of Moray's old titanium blades and an old TPU wheel guard to the carbon fiber top plate. I know it looks ridiculous, but I was actually very confident that he couldn't saw through the 3mm thick titanium, and it would make some pretty sparks and nice pictures. When the fight starts, it doesn't take long for Doomslug to pin me, and starts sawing right onto the edge of one of the blades, where he was able to cut into the carbon fiber a little bit. No damage is done before the saw stops spinning and the pin is released. I don't know what went wrong, but his saw never worked for the rest of the fight. We push each other around a little bit, and I get fully underneath my opponent. Doomslug pops a wheelie and I get a tiny lift in. I get pinned for the full 5 seconds, but I'm able to manipulate Doomslug's front end with my lifter. Doomslug takes Kicksurf for a ride around the box and then pins me from the back. I try to do something, but I can't outreach his forks and I get pinned again where Doomslug uses the arm to flip me over. I self-right and almost get some control. Then I flip myself. I get pinned yet again. Usually Kicksurf can self-right, but the TPU piece I added as top armor prevents me from doing that, and now I get pushed around some more. There's another pin, and I end up fully on top of Doomslug. Another pin ends with Doomslug running into the wall and inadvertently flipping me back upright. I get pinned again and tap him with the lifter some. There's one more pin before the fight goes to the judges, and I do get a small lift in. Obviously Doomslug won even without the saw. Kicksurf was now out of the tournament, but it didn't take any real damage in this fight, other than a shallow slice from the first exchange. There wasn't much I could do when my opponent had much longer forks than I did, so I plan on making some longer forks for Kicksurf in the future. I might not have been in the tournament anymore, but I did do one grudge match with Kicksurf when I fought Wamp, who eliminated Moray earlier in the tournament. Wamp is a 2-wheel drive drum spinner, and I think it's a Weta kit. I successfully box rush Wamp at the start of the fight and slam into him. Kicksurf gets flipped, and then Wamp pops one of the taped-on spinners off. Then I get to the side of him and get a very effective lift and push across the box. I do this again when the lifter gets in between his wheel guard and his wheel. I even flip him over while I have control. Kicksurf gets another lift in and then ends up on top of Wamp. Wamp smacks the detached blade away and then flips me and pulls the other one off. He flips me again, but I self-right off my opponent. Kicksurf gets flipped again and then gets caught on the floor for a bit. It seems like I can only self-right when I have something to push off of, so I use Wamp again. There's a small lift. Then another one where I maintain full control. It happens again, and it's clear that this is a very good matchup for Kicksurf in terms of the shape of my opponent. Wamp flips me again, and I take a while to self-right. I get one more lift in, and he gets one more hit right before the fight ends. This was a grudge match, so no official winner was decided, but I feel like Kicksurf probably would have won if it was an official fight. I was very happy with this one and took very little damage here. The lifter was scratched up, and one of the forks had the tip broken off, but that's really it. Overall, I'm not too disappointed with how this event went. I lost to 2 great robots, there were terrible design matchups for me, and the grudge match went really well. This event showed me that I prefer driving control robots, and I'm definitely not retiring Moray or anything, but it made me want to build my own, which I did, and just competed with it at Macro. That'll be the next recap, but the plastic ant version of Kicksurf, Slice Serve, also just went to Macro, so that recap will also be made before too long. Thank you for watching this event recap for Kicksurf.